it's such a tough thing for this fan base to look at those banners, and they want more, man. But I really believe that this is the turning point for that to start beginning to happen again.
Well, Indiana is pretty much on the brink of being irrelevant in college basketball. If they don't get this hire right, we're just going to be another program. We're going to be another run-of-the-mill deal, and I think it's huge. And one of the things that I think has not been addressed in any of the other hires, and I don't really count Mike Davis as one of the hires. He took over in a situation that he had to take over, and you know what? He did the best he could. He actually did a really good job compared to the other three guys. But we got to either go out and there's one or two guys that you got to go after and that you want, or let's bring in an XIU guy and build the program from the start again and go. Let's not get the flavor of the month type of deal. And that's kind of what we've done. Yeah. And Archie Miller didn't buy into the culture of Indiana. Tom Crean tried to early on, got away from him, expectations got bad, but there's a culture between John, myself, AJ, Kirk. None of us played together, but I guarantee you we all have each other's back when it comes to it, and I think everybody wants the same thing. And I think the most disappointing thing of all of this craziness the last, say, 15 years has been the culture and the style, and what's the product on the floor isn't acceptable. And I think we really got to get back to, I'd rather see a team play the right way and get beat than going and getting just running ragtag, winning a little bit and still getting your ass beat. It infuriates me, and it bothers me because, you know, John made a great comment. I started watching Indiana basketball. I'm from California. I didn't grow up with it. But when ESPN got on in 79 and 80, and I saw Indiana play on ESPN, I said, that's the way I need to play. We don't have an identity anymore. So it's just, as an ex-player, it's hard to watch.
Right. AJ, yeah, you're, I guess, again, next in line. So you're coming up through there. Things, I'm not going to say they started to change in your era, but there was a difference in some recruiting, maybe, I guess, and some changes over. And you can speak to that better than I can.
Yeah, you know, Kirk and I, we went through a lot of changes at that time, recruits leaving and things of that nature. But the culture was still intact, and the way that Indiana basketball was taught and played was still intact at that time. And I completely agree with both guys, especially Joe, when we don't have an identity. And what bothers me the most is, yes, I'm an advocate of bringing a former player back, whether that's Keith Smart, whether that's Calvert Chaney, Mike Woodson, Randy Whitman. We have enough guys out there who can run this program and also move us on into, you know, the new style of basketball as well, merging the two, but most importantly, bringing the culture back and intact. And I think people are afraid of that. You know, I think it's, you know, from what I'm learning, I didn't watch IU basketball a lot until this year when I started doing the podcast. I started interviewing our guys, and I started really watching the team. And I'm like, you know, we don't have an identity, and the reason is because we don't have anybody who represented that culture, who represented those principles, involved in the program in any capacity outside of Tim McGraw and the doctors. Other than that, you don't see it. You don't see it at all. So. And people are, but I believe it's coming from way above, you know, and it's something that I'm not sure of, but there's a reason why there hasn't been any IU guys on that sideline or involved in that capacity or considered highly for those jobs when those other two openings were available to hire guys. So I'm an advocate of bringing back a guy who can galvanize the fan base, who can not only establish principles again, establish our culture and the way IU is, but also elevate us to the next level when it comes to the type of recruits we'll need to get, when the comfortable bridge between alums and players, alums and fans, and all those things that need to happen in order to make Indiana basketball special. When Mr. Laskowski, when Joe played, and when I played. So I'm definitely a fan of it being if it's not Brad Stevens, it should be an Indiana alumni.
Kirk, and you kind of closed it out with your run with Coach Knight, and then things really began to turn differently there. But your time here was one of the special ones. There's some great moments for you as well. But your thoughts on as well.
Well, first thing, let me say my youngest son is his junior pro team is not very good. I think they scored 8 points last game. And at the first game, I told my wife, I said, I looked out there and I looked at our team warming up, and I said, Casey, I don't know when 8% of your team is wearing glasses, if that's a good sign. So if the common thread the last decade or so is Tim Garl, I don't know if that's the good sign. But no knock on Tim. But that's sure. I love Tim. But I agree with these guys. In my heart, I know the Brad Stevens thing's been out there for a while. It's becoming a lot like the John Gruden to Tennessee football that I lived through down here for a while. I mean, it's just kind of like every time it comes around, it's like, I think we need to get past that. I mean, we can talk about it. It's clickbait. If it happens, I'll be thrilled and I'll eat my words. But I echo AJ's thoughts on kind of where we need to go towards next. We've got a lot of great candidates. And if there is a silver lining to all this, I think that from an Indiana fans standpoint, I think that they maybe can appreciate just the level of excellence that was there for so long. The consistency, I know there for a while, we weren't advancing as far as we would like to have. And we were top 25 teams, sometimes top 15 into top 10, and we'd have early exit the tournament. The tournament is an exact science. It's not a perfect evaluation of a team sometimes. But I think now you see just the performance and the consistency of being a ranked team that's competing at the top echelon of the Big Ten and in the conversation shows how tough. I mean, that's a hard thing to do at a program. And I think fans now can appreciate that a little more. And maybe when it starts, it's probably not going to be overnight where you're right back at the top. I hope fans can appreciate the process of being at those steps on the way back up that we were on the way back down.
The one thing